Okay, we're on YouTube.
Good to
Hi,
meet you.
Jason.
Hey, how are you?
Great. How are you?
Doing well.
Good. So we are live on YouTube. They told me we have to do that. So just
Excellent.
be aware. It stresses me out just a tiny bit, but who's watching really? Not the most riveting stuff, hopefully.
We'll find out. We'll have to see how many views we get.
That's right. Exactly. So were you the one talking to me, Jason, about the Harry Potter party and how your family watched the videos?
Yeah, my son participated in it. So
Awesome.
yeah,
We got over 4,000 views on those. We were so
really
surprised. Yeah.
that's awesome. Yeah, they were great. They were great. We've been locked down with him. He's high risk, and so anything we can do to expose him to something besides me and mom.
Yeah.
We actually we're doing a master class. So I don't know if you're familiar with master classes, but we're doing some of those. So it's a subscription service, but you have experts like top people in the world on different topics teaching. And
Oh,
so,
great.
yeah, Make-A-Wish provided us with that during the pandemic. So,
Oh, that's great. So like what kind of topics are you guys learning about?
yeah, so you can do like astronomy from an astronomy
Oh, wow.
professor, or baking and cooking from professional chefs around the world. There's public speaking. There's negotiation from like CIA negotiators.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
all sorts of different topics. It's really
Oh,
pretty.
that's great.
So yeah,
Oh, that's awesome. How old is he?
he's 9.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
but
awesome.
he's always been a mature. I mean, from the time he was a baby. So, his interests are more around probably the 11, 12-year-old age group. So
Yeah. Well, that's good. I'm glad you guys have something to keep his brain going. That's
yeah,
a big challenge.
mine too.
Yeah. Right. Hi, Barbara.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Oh, okay. Tired.
Good. Yeah. This is our first time broadcasting on YouTube. I finally figured it out how to do it. But you're used to that, right?
Oh, right. I don't have to do anything with it. Just click on it and don't
Nice.
say much of anything and go home. I mean,
Yeah,
stay home.
that's right. Do you prefer to meet in person or are you getting comfortable at home?
Well, I'm pretty comfortable at home, but I like meeting in person better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Barbara, you live near the Bill and Helen Rawlings?
Yes.
Yeah, that's my mother and father-in-law. So
Oh, wow.
Really?
So who
yeah,
are you married to?
I'm married to Erin.
Oh, Oh, no wonder. Yeah, she's quite the chef.
Yes, she is. So-
Well, I'm in the self-reliance group with Bill and Helen.
oh, you are. Yeah.
Action partner, in fact. How fun.
Oh, excellent.
It's a very small world.
Yeah. In American Fork, if you've been around a while, it absolutely is.
Well, Bill and Helen are on the east side of the river. We're on the west. There are a couple cul-de-sacs there, and we're on the second one up from them.
Yeah.
So
We're not
pretty
too
far
far.
apart.
So
Great people.
they are great people.
So you're very close to Joyce then.
Yeah. Yeah. Joyce, I met Joyce before the Rawlings. So
Oh,
in college. Yeah.
Yeah, Jason, we are so happy to have you on the board and guiding the board. You're a really, really good addition.
I appreciate that. I'll probably need some guidance myself, especially as we get going here. So
Yeah.
Oh, we all
I
do.
should say probably, I should say I definitely will.
It's a very understanding group. It's great.
Yes.
I think we all appreciate that.
Shannon lives about a block away from where I used to live.
Yeah. 5th East and 1st North.
Yeah, I lived at 189 North, 6th East.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm just at the corner of 300 North and 700 East.
Oh.
So, yeah.
All right, so we could meet up there on the corner by the high school, right?
Right,
for
that's right.
300 North and 600 East, and have a party and still be corners apart.
Yeah.
Watch all the accidents that take place, right?
Yeah.
It's a bad intersection.
Yeah.
4th East and 3rd North is bad too.
Yeah.
The old college trail.
Where it curves. Yeah.
Well, there was one on the corner of 3rd North and 5th East. It's been several weeks ago, but the helicopter landed there.
Oh, did it?
Medical helicopter. And then there was nothing in the news about it. So I don't know if it was somebody local that got hurt or how bad.
Somebody, in fact, almost turned. They were trying to miss somebody else who wasn't supposed to be there. And they crashed into this car and sort of demolished it, hurt the girl who was in it.
Do you know if anyone was, I mean, obviously they had life flight, so it was pretty serious
No, I don't know any more about it than that.
than that. It
They
was,
must have flown them somewhere besides AF, with it being so close,
Yeah.
So Emory Children's or University of Utah or something.
yeah.
So we get a note almost every week showing the activities of the ambulance crew and the police department and the fire department. But there are so many things going on. I wish they would put when they happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's an app that the emergency services have that you can download that'll show you. You just select the city, and it'll show you current and past emergency situations, what they were. So
Oh.
I think I have it. What's it called?
yeah, I'm just trying to remember. I had it on my phone.
Would you grab the cell phone, please? Oh, for your information, I have another meeting tonight at 8.
Yeah, I think we should go ahead and get started. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of us. That's a pretty good group. I think we're missing Jamila and Anne. Is that everybody?
Pulse Point.
What?
Jason,
What's that?
is it Pulse Point?
Yes, that's it. That's the name of the app. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Go ahead and mute yourselves. If you we're going to have opportunities for everybody to talk. So if in that scenario, just go ahead and unmute yourselves. For Shannon and Jason, we're making this super easy. We're going to I'm going to go ahead and conduct this meeting and then kind of work your way into feeling more comfortable. Jason, normally you would lead this meeting, but since it's the first time, I didn't want to throw that at you. Okay, so one of the things that we have to do, since this is a public meeting, but it's online, we need to do a couple of things. First of all, the public is welcome to comment. They need to send their comments via email before 5 p.m. I never got any comments. So normally we would just take the time to allow somebody to talk if they were there. That has yet to happen. And in this scenario, nobody made any comments. So the city needs me to read something to you guys. It's called the written determination. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you can read along with me. Okay, it says, in accordance with resolution number 2020-7-20R, I have determined that conducting meetings of the library board with an anchor location, such as the community room in the American Fork Library, presents a substantial risk to the health and safety of those who may be present there. The following are facts upon which this determination has been made. Utah has been in a declared state of emergency due to COVID-19 since March 6, 2020, a virus outbreak that has been recognized by the World Health Organization, federal, state, and local leaders as a pandemic. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has stated that COVID-19 is easily spread from person to person between people who are in close contact with one another through respiratory droplets when an infected person coughs, sneezes, or talks. This virus can also be spread by people who are non-symptomatic. As reported by the Utah Department of Health, reported COVID-19 cases in Utah County continue to rise at a rate higher than reported rates for the state. Federal, state, and local authorities recommend that individuals limit public gatherings, wear face masks, and follow social distancing guidelines. It is difficult to anticipate the number of attendees at any meeting in order to maintain social distancing to comply with state-phased guidelines. Further, regardless of the number of attendees, social distancing measures for council, staff, and attendees will be difficult to maintain in the city council chambers and administration conference room. COVID-19 continues to pose an immediate threat to the health, safety, and welfare of American Fork City residents. American Fork City can provide a way for the public to hear and view open portions of city council meetings and to provide a way to participate in public hearings. For the next 30 days, all library board meetings will be conducted via electronic means. The meetings are broadcast live streamed and available at a later time at this website. To make a public comment, email comments to this email address prior to 5 p.m. the day of the meeting for the comment to be read into record. Please indicate in the subject line which item your comment refers to. And then we'll date that and turn it in. And I believe you need to sign this, Jason. So any questions about that at all? Did that make sense?
Yeah, no questions here.
It
Okay.
just came up right now, but no, basically we stay on Zoom, right?
That's right. Yeah. And I would be surprised if 30 days is how long this lasts. It's going to probably be a lot longer. They just want us to cover our bases and make sure that we're very open about what we're doing. So, yep. Okay. So we're going to move on. Sorry that took a minute. I wanted to give our new board members a chance to introduce themselves. Just take a couple of minutes so we can get to know you, and then we can go around and say our names and our position on the board. So Jason, do you want to go first, and then Shannon?
Sure. Yeah, so Jason Rupp, this is my first meeting on the board. I'm the new chair of the board as well. I've lived in American Fork for quite a few years, graduated from American Fork High School, and so has my wife. And I work here in American Fork for a company called Brainstorm. They're on the corner of Main and Center, and of course we're all at home right now. I drive a Jeep as much as I can, and we I spend a lot of time with my kids. I've got 6 kids and one grandchild, and lots of work in the backyard during the pandemic here. So that's me in a nutshell.
Thank you. All right, Shannon.
All right. I am from American Fork. Lived here all my life, except when we moved to Craig, Colorado for 2 years, then came back. Moved to Atlanta, Georgia for a year, and then up to Baltimore, and then came back. And we just keep coming back because most of my family lives here. My grandmother, Ellen Tracy, started the American Fork Junior Children's Library in the basement of the Carnegie Building, the old one where the senior citizens now meet. Well, built their meeting. And I've always wanted to be on the library board. I always thought all the books in her library were hers because she'd read all of them. So I wanted a library just like hers. And now I have one. So thank you. It's good to be here. Oh, I taught English and French at Lehigh High School for 25 years and retired 5 years ago. And Barbara and I have known each other since our kids were in elementary school.
Wonderful. Thank you. I have not read all the books in our library, so I've tried, but yeah, it's not happening. Okay, I'm Cassandra Crane, and I'm the library director. So if we could have Barbara, Joyce, Michelle, and Anne just introduce yourselves.
Can you see me?
We can hear you, but we can't see you, Anne.
Okay, I don't know how to change that. There's a little.
Is there a little video icon?
Down at the bottom of the screen, you can.
It says switch to screen share, but
yeah, it's not that one.
Really sure how to do it.
You should be able to find a little. It looks like a video camera icon.
Right next to the microphone.
Oh, up there.
Cassandra, if you would stop sharing your screen, it might help.
Okay.
All right. Well, while I try to figure this out, my name is Anne Long, and after my husband and I served a mission in Ecuador, we decided to move down here to Utah County. That was in 2001. And after that, we went to Honduras on another mission in about 2016. And we still live here and love being on the library board. I've always loved libraries.
Do you speak Spanish?
And I have a really soft spot for the Spanish speakers in our community. And I'm really happy that the library is providing language training for them so that they can better fit in.
Thank you, Anne. All right, how about your turn, Barbara?
Okay, I'm unmuted.
There we go.
Yeah. Hey, yeah. I'm Barbara Christiansen. I've lived in the same house since 1978, just across the river from Bone Hill and Rawlings and from Joyce. And down the road a piece and around the corner from Shannon. So, know lots of wonderful people in this community. I am the city council representative, liaison or whatever, to the library board, and as such, I'm not a voting member. So if I don't vote for something that you want, it's not because I don't want it, it's because I can't vote. But I can comment and appreciate the chance. I've loved, I served on the library board for a number of years before when I was a newspaper reporter, and then retired and started working for UVU Then I got recruited to run for the city council, and then they asked me what I wanted to do. I said, library board. So far I've been on for 3 years, and I'm hoping I stay for 1 more year at least. Love it.
Barbara, who are you a reporter for?
The American Fork Citizen, and part of the time the Daily Herald.
Very nice.
Great. Okay, your turn, Joyce.
Okay, well, I'm a professor at BYU. I live, as Barbara said, within 2 blocks of her house. And Jason's wife grew up next door. I knew his wife when she was little and love her to pieces too. So
She's still not very big.
she is not very big, that's for sure. I've lived in American Fork since 1978, actually 1977, and I love American Fork. I don't see me changing from that. Love the library board.
Great, thank you. All right, Michelle.
You're muted.
Am I now?
No, you're okay.
Okay. I'm Michelle Draper. I have lived in American Fork for probably 32 years. I am an accountant and I absolutely love the library.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, so I sent you all the, if you look at your agenda, I sent you kind of the outline of what we're going to talk about today. Number 4 is library updates, and there has been so much that has happened. I'm going to kind of focus on 2 things. One of the things that we're doing right now, Anne brought this up, and we're really excited about this. We're working on our outreach to the Latino population, and we're doing a few language classes for our staff to be able to talk to people in Spanish as much as possible. We are going to have a kind of an intern working for us who's a native Spanish speaker, who will do outreach to elementary schools and have office hours so people can come get tours in Spanish. We're also working on Spanish translations of what we have. And we really just want to kind of get our foot in the door with those families that are coming to ESL at our library. And that is kind of where we are with that. Something that we're really excited about is to look at our census data eventually and find out how many Spanish speakers are in American Fork or people of Latino descent. 10 years ago, it was about 10%, between 7 and 10%. So we're thinking it's probably still around there. And we really want to kind of beef up our outreach to them. So that is something we're definitely working on. And the other thing I was going to tell you about is several grants that we're working on or that we've already received. We have a $5,000 grant from Utah Humanities, and that's helping us be able to do our programs. Since we're doing more take-home activities, it's a little more expensive. So that has helped us so much. We have a grant for hotspots that we're going to let people check out. Does anybody have any questions about what hotspots are? Okay, so hotspots, okay, are devices. I have one right here that they can plug in at their house if they don't have the internet. They can also charge them and take them on trips. And it's anybody with a device can then log on to the internet using it. And the idea is mostly for families that maybe don't have it at their home, especially now with kids who are sometimes doing classes online and sometimes in person. And if somebody gets sick, they have to stay home for a while. So we got a grant to have 20 of them. We're working to get those ready for checkout within the next couple of weeks. So we're really excited about that.
Is it a shared lot of minutes on that or data limits or is it specific to the hotspot device?
That is a great question. I don't know. I think it's just kind of always on, but I could be wrong. We had to pay for a year worth of service, but we will look into that. I'm glad you asked me
I'm
that.
just thinking that how we, we manage that. If it's coming from a pot of data, how we manage the amount that's being used by a single user, right? So
Right. Yeah. I think it's pretty much individual, but I'm not sure how much. So that is a really good thing to find out.
And how long did they check them out for?
So that is another great question. We're going to need to, we're working on our policy right now that we're going to need to run by you guys. We would like to start them at 2 weeks and then see where it goes from there. This is kind of going to be a pilot program that we've never done before. So we're going to start with kind of the minimum of what we would check them out, except for movies. Everything else is, the minimum is 2 weeks. See how that goes, see what kind of demand there is, and then maybe expand it. What I don't want to have happen is for people who really need it to not be able to get them, or if people who have them and need to keep them to not be able to keep them. So we're going to kind of be flexible on where we end up, but we're going to start with 2 weeks. So I will be drafting the policy for that to present in the next meeting to you guys. Okay, any other questions about the hotspots?
Well, just, they're expensive devices. So I'm curious, as you've checked out other expensive, materials, how do you handle, in case of damage or loss or anything like that? Is it the same policy as other items?
Yeah, that's a great question too. When we put the item into our catalog, we have like a replacement cost in there. So we're just going to go with the full amount of what we paid, which is about $200 each. The grant was for $4,000. And then, yeah, that's really the only thing that we do is we say, okay, now you have a charge for $200. You need to bring it back or replace it.
Will we have any controls over what's being accessed through the device? Like, is it a network that we have, admin rights on, so we can make sure that they're not using it inappropriately?
Well, when I bought them from a company that says they provide a filter.
Okay.
I'm working on figuring out what that is. That's another great question. Yeah.
All right.
We're hoping, yes.
Especially for children then and
Right.
students.
Right. That's primarily what we want to target.
Will minors be able to check them out?
Oh, that is a great question.
I'm just thinking
I would
without
guess
parental knowledge, to have access to internet that their parents maybe aren't aware of.
Yeah.
Something
Well, what we talked about is that at other libraries, they have people sign an agreement, and usually that needs to be an adult. I'm assuming that's where we're heading, but I will definitely let you guys know. These are great questions.
Another possibility would be to have a deposit on it.
Yeah, that's true.
Especially at the replacement cost, the parents should be aware, because students usually don't have that kind of money.
Right. I agree. I think we will put it to adults only. That's a great point.
However, those who will be checking them out will be those who don't have internet at home.
Right.
So they won't have a lot of money.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and we're lucky because it was a grant. So it's not like it's money that's been given to us to kind of help people who are more in need. And so if something gets lost, we'll put it on their account. It kind of freezes them up, but we aren't out that money, luckily. We're just out another hotspot.
I would imagine we'll have controls to shut off the device, right? So if someone checks it out, they lose it, someone else has it, we can turn off its usability, so it's not stolen and someone else is running up, using all the data. So
Exactly. Yeah, that's another thing somebody brought up is that you can, since we have admin rights, there's a certain point at which you turn it off. So yeah. All right. Well, next time we meet, I will have all the answers. So, but these are great questions. Thanks, you guys.
We'll try to come up with some more questions too.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Other than that, I'm working on a grant for LSTA that will allow us to put in gates. And we've talked about this before, that we don't have security gates. I'm in the process of getting that figured out. Also, the city has CARES money. And those funds, we've asked for funds to replace our self-check computers and get some updated ones. Ours are actually kind of they are a security risk at this point because they didn't update with the new Windows update, and there was no capital funding to replace them. So the current plan is to use that money for our self-checks and to get better carts, since now that we do all of our quarantining, we're totally overwhelmed by books in the morning. And so our carts are all in use. And the last thing that we're hoping is to get a little bit of that money for overdrive. Our overdrive numbers have skyrocketed. I mean, they go up every year. This year, way more than usual. Usually we go up about 20,000 circulations a year. This time it went up 20,000 since the pandemic started. So it's been a huge increase. So we're hoping to be able to use those funds for that. Any questions about any other grants or proposals? Awesome. Okay. Number 5 on the agenda is the board bylaws. And I wanted to bring that up really quickly because I just wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page. And I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so the board bylaws says that it kind of goes through how we're organized and how everybody serves for three years per term and no more than 2 consecutive full terms. It talks about vacancies and replacements, and it talks about how we need to stagger when people leave. And the reason that I brought this up is because the way that the board is now, there are big groups of people leaving kind of around the same time. So I was thinking we may want to either adjust our bylaws at some point, or maybe just kind of stagger everybody's terms and either shorten or elongate them. Do you guys have any thoughts about that?
I can't see your screen. Am I doing something?
Oh, now can you? Sorry. Okay, so I'm talking about what part? About this part. It says the expiration of terms are staggered so that there are experienced board members on the board at all times.
So what does the turnover look like coming up?
That is a great question. Let me show you that. All right, do you guys see the list of board members? Okay, so if you look here, it says everybody's expiration. Jason, since you're new, you and Shannon both expire in 2023. Ann's is 2021. Michelle, you agreed to stay for another term, right? I believe I got an email from that. And then Joyce is 2021. And then Jamila is 2023 as well. So we don't have to decide this today. And it's going to be kind of an individual thing. It's just I don't want 2021 and 2023 to be like we're dead. We have nobody, if that makes sense.
Just, this is nothing to do with that, but my phone number is wrong on there.
Oh, thank you. Can you email me the
756.
right one?
6355.
Okay. Say that one more time, Barbara.
It's 756 instead of 763.
Okay, I will correct that. Thank you. Okay. So, of course, I just want you guys to stay the entire time I work here because you've been so great to work with. But
And of course, you're never leaving.
I know. So it's not that I'm trying to push anybody out. I just want to stagger it so it's not all at the same time. If that makes sense.
We have control over the bylaws as long as it's a majority vote to change. Is that right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And then one other thing it says in the bylaws that I didn't realize is that, let's see if I can find it. Oh yes, that there are certain committees. We really haven't ever done this since I've been here. These are committees within the library boards, but since it's so small, it's never been a thing that people have done, or at least not when I've been here. And we don't want it too big. In fact, the state wants it between 7 and 9 members. So it says that we can, something about like positions there, we can change how long they last. Sorry, I'm missing where all this stuff is.
So it does say that, we can have interested members of the community on those committees, but they wouldn't be board members. They would just be members of the committee, not the board, right? So,
right.
So as far as the state's concerned in keeping the board the right size, I don't know that would impact any of the committee size issues.
That's true. If we had those committees, it would probably be fine. You're right. But we don't have any of them.
Is there a need?
I don't think we need to. Okay, so it says here we have Education Committee, Public Relations Committee, Reconsideration and Collection Development Committee, and Fundraising Committee. So what we tend to do on our board is we talk about issues that come up with in each one of those areas together and vote together. So far I haven't seen a huge need for it, but maybe there is one. I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
I suppose we could form one on an ad hoc basis if we needed to for a specific initiative at some point, right?
Yeah.
You get some funding for, a specific program, and we say, hey, probably a committee would be helpful for the actual, execution of the plans, right? Some hands-on extra help.
Right. Yeah.
Something along those lines. So.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, for sure. And in fact, that does occasionally happen if we have, so here's an example. When somebody challenges a book and puts in a formal request for reconsideration, we will form a smaller committee to read the material and come back with a decision. Usually those requests for consideration end up, I give an answer and then they're happy and they don't come back and want the board to do it. But if they did, that's what would happen.
What are the requests for? Is it to have a book removed or added?
The 3 that we got since I've been here have all said that a book that was written for teens needed to be in the adult section. It already was in the adult section. They just didn't understand. And so I clarified that and then they let it go.
Got it.
So, yeah. Anyway, we don't have to do this right now either. I just wanted to be on you guys' radar that, and I think what I'll do is I'll go through and kind of go based on what you guys have said on how long you're interested in serving. and come back with a proposal for staggering the dates, if that works for you. And I can just do that for our next meeting. I just wanted to kind of see if that works before I got dug into it, if that sounds okay.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Is there interest from anyone currently on the board to adjust more or less? I mean, we could change it, but if no one wants to do that, then it, right, it doesn't work.
Do you guys think that the three-year terms are working? Do you think that's a good plan?
I think it worked well.
Mhm.
Couldn't you have
Yeah.
maybe a range of, instead of saying rigid 3,
Mhm.
you know, 2 to 4, or so that there is more likely to stagger?
Mhm.
That's one.
Yeah,
I think it also naturally staggers because like we have had past members that for whatever reason have had to leave.
Mhm.
And so then they are replaced, which would naturally put a stagger in there.
Mhm. Yeah. All right, that sounds good. Let me kind of fiddle with it, and I'll send you guys some emails, and then we can vote on it if we want to make any changes next time. We can also just tweak it according kind of what Michelle said. If people are just interested in doing a little more, a little less, and kind of work within that and see how it could possibly change the official bylaws, and also when everybody's finished with their terms.
I agree. I think, Michelle, there will be some natural changes like you suggested. I also like Joyce's idea of building in a range so that just in case there's not any, any unplanned changes, there's still a staggering that can happen. And as we bring on a new board member, they can tell us up front, in that 2 to 4 year range, what they're interested in doing, so we can plan for it. That's my thought.
Okay, sounds good. All right, I like it. Okay, the last thing I had is a couple of policy questions for you guys. Okay, so can you see the mission and objective policy? Okay, so this needs to be updated. So the mission of the American Fork Library has changed. Our official mission is to provide positive, transformative change to everyone we serve, or something around those lines. I'll get the exact words. And then the rest of it is a teeny bit dated. Okay, so if you look at, I've highlighted them in yellow. It says the library's basic objectives are the assembly, preservation, and administration of thoughtfully selected books and other materials that will aid the individual in the pursuit of educational information or pleasure and creative use of leisure time. The main thing to me that is a little dated in here is preservation and administration of books. So it's essentially saying we collect books and we pick them carefully and we get them to people for their education and their enjoyment. And I think it's just preservation, to me, is not what a public library does. We have a tiny little piece of that where we have a historical records room. But the other day, our librarian pulled out a newspaper and it fell apart in her hands. We are not experts at preservation. That is not our forte. And I feel like keeping that in our mission is a little misleading. Does that make sense?
Yep, you're not, your job is not to be a hoarder.
Yeah, I think
Well,
you're
Preserve the books, keep them in good condition
And-
so people can use them, and hotspots and things like that.
Right, yeah.
I think curate's probably a better term, right? Because we're being selective about what we have and what we don't have to meet the needs of the users.
That's
Yeah.
a good term.
Yes. Right. And then we are a popular library, so our focus is on use. We replace things and we buy things according to the demand of our community. We do go by these guidelines, but we're not like the BYU library. We're not trying to get like
Don't keep a historic copy of Gone with the Wind.
right. Yeah, exactly.
So can we say something about providing access and distributing
Mhm.
media resources or something along those lines?
Yes, that is a great way of saying it. Distributing media. And I think it would also be good to kind of like in response to the demand of American Fork itself. And we get into that question from both sides of this, where our staff who are making those selections need to know that it's serving this community, and then our community needs to know that we are using their funds well. We're not, just trying to challenge them on every single turn. But yeah.
I'm just thinking of of educational information or pleasure and creative use of leisure time. I wonder if we could say something about, educational and cultural enhancement, or, something along those lines.
Yeah, I like that. Cultural enhancement. Okay. That's great. And the other thing that we do is we support literacy, informational, and, reading. So we're not just for fun. It's fun, but all that stuff happens.
I think that's where the educational part comes in, right?
Yeah.
But you're right. That leisure time, a lot of that, people are, a lot of times they're not at the library because they're there to just relax.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And we're very open. We're non-judgmental. We let you do what you want. So
I got in trouble for falling asleep at the library one time. So I don't know that, well, it was the Salt Lake Library. It was the Salt Lake Library. And I didn't mean to fall asleep. I just was tired while I was reading the book. But I did.
We've had this conversation where we're like, unless someone is literally lying down on the floor with a pillow and a blanket, we don't want to be waking them up and kicking them out. I think it happens.
Been my problem. I think it was the pillow.
Yeah. That's great. Okay.
Can I make a suggestion on a wording change?
Yes, go for it.
It says in serving the adults of the community.
Mm-hmm.
I think that should say in serving the citizens of the community, because
I totally agree.
It's not just an adult.
Yes, absolutely.
Because everything that has happened at the library over the last 20 years is all encompassing for families, children, teens.
Yes, that is great.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's important that even children realize that they are citizens of a community, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that they have a role here and can contribute.
And we're not just saying the library is for just the adults, but it is a community service.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Citizens, it's a good word.
Yep. That's great. All right, I added that to my notes. The other thing is that the last sentence, I think is misleading. It says the library will work closely with the parents, schools, and other agencies for children, as well as the children themselves, to provide guidance in the use of the materials. Everywhere else in our policies, we're very clear that we do not act in loco parentis, that we are very much we're buying the stuff and then we're getting it ready. And the parents are the ones that oversee if it's appropriate for their kids. We do not ever want to be in that position of making those decisions. And I think this is,
I would
kind
take
of-
that completely out.
yeah, I agree.
But we do provide guidance in how to care for the hotspot, how to care for the book, how to care for the magazine and get it back to us. So
Yes.
we just need to say that in another way.
Well, let's see if it says it elsewhere. Let's see. Library encourages activities that promote personal development, social well-being. I wonder if that's elsewhere in our policies. Now that I think about it, I bet it is somewhere in the checkout policies.
I thought it was included with the checkout policies.
Yeah, because that's a good point, but it isn't quite the mission. It's more the actual day-to-day, grind of what we do.
Though
I will double check
sure-
and make sure it's there.
I am sure if someone was throwing books off of a shelf, the friendly librarian would not be so friendly.
But they would work closely.
That's right. That's
Very
right.
closely.
That's true.
Well, we
How easy it
did,
is to still be friendly and get them to do what they're supposed to.
I think it should be clear that we do not provide parental guidance.
Yeah, I agree.
Which
And I know. Go
I
ahead.
think that is in the other bylaws.
I think so too.
Because I remember we voted on something to that effect,
Mhm.
I want to say a year ago,
Yes.
because of concerns that we didn't want to, I think it had to do with the computers, that we didn't want to take on the responsibility of being the parent over what was being accessed.
Right.
So I thought that we had written some things into.
I think you're right. And our computer policy does address things like gambling and pornography and those kind of things. And then that is the expectation for all age groups. And then, yeah, we didn't want to be policing beyond that. That's the parents' responsibility.
And I think that was at the advice of the city attorney.
Yeah, that's correct. Okay, this is great. I feel like I got a really good understanding of what you guys are thinking. I'm going to rewrite this again. I'll send it out so we can vote next meeting. And then I'll send it out to you. And then if you have any edits, let me know. Does that sound okay?
That sounds great.
I'm sorry I don't have everything completely ready in this meeting. It's kind of like a really good place to kind of pick your brains, and then we'll go from there.
Well, you've got one or two other things to do in every day.
That's okay. All right.
No,
Then
that sounds great. I love editing things.
awesome.
So I look forward to it.
Sounds great. Thank you. The next page, when I read over it, the only thing that I think we may want to change is chairman should be chairperson. Does that sound okay to you guys?
Yeah.
It's what?
I wish that it doesn't bother me the way it is.
Or just chair,
Chair. Yeah,
an elected chair.
let's do that. Does that
I
sound okay to you
identify
guys?
as a man, but I'm fine with changing the language.
Okay. Thank you.
Jason, you're just our token male. You know? We don't expect you to.
It wouldn't be the first time.
All right. Thank you. All right. We're pretty much gone through everything. Jamila, I noticed you joined us late. Do you want to introduce yourself?
I think I kind of did during the interviews, but my name's Jamila. I have small ones in the house, which is why that's what I contribute, is a perspective of a current caretaker of small people.
Mhm.
I have a college freshman down to 2-year-old. So it's a joyous, crazy time. I was late because we were at a soccer game and we had 2 tonight. Why? They're supposed to be on Saturday. But I love being here, and it's a joy to work with Cassandra and the board members. It's just, the library is a great place.
Awesome. I'm impressed you made it.
Oh
Me
my
too.
gracious. Well, and they had to change the venue. So instead of having the short drive, I had the long drive. It's fine. It's just soccer season.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, I think that's it. Does anybody else have any comments or questions or thoughts?
No.
Cassandra, if you want to send me that document that you read at the beginning for me to sign,
Yep.
Send it back to you.
Perfect.
So.
Thank you.
And then I would love to know what the library updates are. Is this going to be on YouTube for later? Like I could watch it?
You can. Absolutely. It will
That's
be there.
awesome. Okay, thank you.
Yes. All right. Well, if no one has anything else to say, does someone want to move to adjourn?
I will move to adjourn.
I will second it.
All right. And everyone who wants to adjourn, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Thank you so much. I will be emailing you guys, and we will meet November 18th at 6:30.
Awesome.
Okay,
Take
Thank
care.
you so
Thanks,
much
everyone.
for all you do.
You too.
Take care.
See ya.
see ya.